Hey everybody, it's John Wolpert and the Baseline crew here. We've got more and more folks showing up. It's great to see everybody. Here's our co-chair, Samara Kishore. Samara, I'm so glad you got to make it. This is just a fun session. There's nothing really that we didn't talk about last week in Sono's awesome end of year review. Yeah, I mean, where's my that's not it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
I think we should play some holiday music on this.
Sono's awesome end of year review, I thought was fantastic. We had like 1,500 views of the thing, right, you know, just in a few days. So congratulations on that. I think most of the news was there. And now we're just here to just have a little fun. This is the last event, Baseline show of the year. We'll start up in the second week of January again, and we're going to have a huge 2022. Why? Because zero coordination under zero knowledge is a thing. It's here, it's ready, and we can do it. In spite of what my friend Paul Brody said last week about how zero knowledge is not ready, his kind of zero knowledge on chain might be, might take the year, but I think what we're doing already is very implementable and something that makes sense to companies. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna have a little bit of an AMA. If people are bringing up chat stuff, as long as you keep it nice and professional. I'd like to say that's the thing I like most about this community is how professional and how kind the community has been, and I anticipate will be going forward, even in the face of increased competition. So I think that what we're going to see in 2022 is a lot more competition. I was just on the phone with some of the leaders of the EA Open Standards Body and other folks, and we were all saying, that if you don't have competition in a standard, you don't have a standard. So I like the fact that now that there's money in the water, people are going to start sharking around that money, and they're going to have their own interests. And as a community, that what we have to do, and thank God for people like Sono and Samrat and so many others, we have already established a good sense of decorum and a good sense of professionalism, so that as we go forward, we will be able to compete in and yet still maintain standards where we need to have the same sort of things going on. That's all I've got to say. Let's see, Sono, what have you got? Do we have any announcement? We do have some announcements actually since last week. I think we have a couple of grants that have been awarded. Is that right? Do we have the vote in on the last one?
Yes. So our digital identity, decentralized identity grant has been complete, at least half complete by one of the companies involved. Bishwashree's part 2 of her Excel work for BRI-1 is being reviewed right now to be merged into the repo. And then some of our other core devs working on things are wrapping up. So we'll have used all of the EF's $100,000 grant chunk that was gifted to us by the end of the year, and looking forward to hopefully getting some more grant money for next year, because our core devs are very motivated and excited. So that's very exciting for us.
Right on. That's terrific news about that, by the way. So Andreas, do you have any, so we have the DID project. How do you see the DID project now going forward? I mean, what am I practically going to do? I think the thing I love most about the community right now, and I really hope we do a lot more of it in the new year, is the practice of these pair programming sessions. They were self-organized. I didn't push them. Samara didn't push them. They just started happening with a lot of newcomers that we hadn't seen before. They did it on their own. I snuck into a couple of them, and I got to say, it was better when I didn't sneak in. They're very verbose. They're doing stuff. It's very collaborative. I'd love to see more of that stuff. So if we were to start another project like that, and a bunch of core devs and others got in and started working on stuff. Now that we have the did work, what does that mean? You know, now that we have that in the can, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go take care of that? What am I going to hook into? What's my experience like? I think we need to get that on the docs as well, by the way.
Yeah, it needs to get properly documented. So so we have a couple of very important things now, right? With the work that Transmute has done with making the did method element compliant to the standard. So we are building a fully standards compliant reference implementation, not only compliant to the baseline specification, but also to other standards that are referenced in that spec, such as the W3C DID and Fairfield credential and the site tree method. So it's like why is that critical? Because if you're working with enterprises, you can say, by the way, every single component in the stack is based and is compliant with an existing approved standard. That is a huge deal. Number one. Number two, what can you do out of the box now that this is integrated? You can hook into a public network that generates DIDs, and which means you can utilize that now directly as your identification primitive in the stack, in the reference implementation. And you can base, for example, you want to do integration with OAuth 2 for an enterprise, go for it. Use your DID as the identifier utilized in OAuth 2. You want to integrate that with an X509? No problem. You can integrate the DID now straight directly into an X509.
So I mean, that's cool, right? Let's break it down even more Barney style, right? Okay, so I'm starting up a project, a baseline project. Let's say the Battleship game, which is awesome. We got it. Sono, can we get the link to the Battleship game? Can we throw that up? Can you find that? And also, Andreas, maybe when we're on some other subject, it would be great if you could throw up the link to the W3C VC work and all the other things that we've been mentioning. So what am I going to do? Okay, so we're starting up the Battleship game. I want to do it DID style, right? So now my Battleship players are actual entities. What do I have to get them to do? What do I need to install? What do I need to?
You don't need to install anything. If you use BRI1 or the plugins, that's already fully integrated. So the work that Spruce did is you can give the players, so the players can generate themselves DIDs that they can use in the game.
But wait a second, those DIDs on, say, their web server, like we've been talking about. Like how do they validate that their DID is a proper DID and they are actually them?
They utilize the associated keys to the DID. So, for example, you want to use MetaMask? Sure, do that. Submit the use your private public key pair from MetaMask to generate that DID element. That is perfectly fine. So, which means you can now validate anything integrating into MetaMask. You can utilize that as your identity wallet all of a sudden because you have DID element. It's like MetaMask never told you that MetaMask is an identity wallet, but all of a sudden MetaMask is your identity wallet.
Okay. Right? What if I wanted to claim that I'm a company, right? So I'm a company. and I want to say, and I want you to connect with me, and we want to conduct some baseline workflow.
Very simple. That's what the service section in the DID document is for. That is that you have a set of APIs that you want me to connect to in a domain that I control. Very, very simple. It's like you put those endpoints into your DID document that you're sending to the DID element server that now runs in Node, that now runs with your BRI stack, and voila, it's on chain, it's resolvable, and you can do that not only for yourself, but guess what? You're managing manufacturing plants with PLCs that are highly sensitive, and you have 10,000 of them. It's one transaction on your baseline stack, and all of a sudden you can baseline all of those 10,000 PLCs.
Very cool. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Mark, you've got one.
Not a question. I've got a real world use case. I mean, basically within baseline, we're not just synchronizing documents and data sets. You can synchronize. Well, you're not synchronizing people, but you're synchronizing their touch points and their positioning. So if I have a bunch of service technicians and I have a warranty environment, I want to make sure that should there be a warranty claim, that I've deployed the proper service technician, or the service technician has taken a look at it, and I've got to replace whatever it is I'm covering under the warranty. And so having the actual identity of the technician, within the process flow is very useful. Real world use case that I used on this was one that we had done for healthcare campuses for medical industry representatives, service technicians, sales representatives that need to be in different areas of the premises of a healthcare campus. And the current method is that everybody wears these plastic badges on a lanyard around their neck, and they wanted to be able to take this digital, and so that you could have it on your phone, because it's a lot more secure, because most of the reps are keeping these lanyards of credentials in their car, which someone could break in and just take the thing right off the front seat and walk around the healthcare campus completely unfettered. But one thing that was really attractive to the people sponsoring this use case was we wanted to be able to revoke those, so that anytime somebody might have gone rogue or had their credentials compromised, they could prove, or at least be removed from the authentication process. So that was one of the use cases that we had done when DIDs were really starting to emerge. So I mean, it's one of the possibilities are pretty compelling, because it attaches it to the presence of a person at a particular space. And so if you're looking at warranty claims, or if you need to basically say, I want to be able to make sure that only restricted individuals that have the proper permissions or specialized knowledge are able to actually assert their identity, and that it be accepted to everyone within the workflow. My 2 cents.
Like those cents.
But it's a real world.
Your sense makes sense.
Yeah. How would DIDs work within a baseline environment? And that would be an example.
Yeah, I really like to have a cookbook on that. I thought Andreas did a good job explaining it, but it would be great to I was just baking cookies with my kids yesterday and last night, and I suck at following those kinds of directions, but I did manage to not screw it up. We have pretty good cookies. It's just nice to say, okay, here are the ingredients. Here's how you put them together. Put it in the oven.
That's what Spruce is going to show you with the added, because there are APIs for that, and so you'll be able to manage your identifiers within the context of a compliant baseline implementation. And the nice thing is you can use because DID element is Ethereum based, everything is on the same chain. B, you can utilize your if you have Ethereum keys, you can continue to use them if you want to. So existing infrastructure that you have, if you're already doing that, you're good to go.
Right on. Okay, so there are some questions in the chat, or there's some comments in the chat. This is kind of a tricky time because this is the baseline protocol. This is a boring standards body dealing with how to get traditional systems of record like SAP and Microsoft and others to synchronize, etc. But we're living this world, and I got to say it's an odd one for me. Because back in the 90s when I was, coming up, or when I was in the earlier part of my career, we would argue about things like token ring versus Ethernet. And we were arguing mostly out of ego, right? We were mostly saying, I'm right, you're wrong. And we would argue about these different things, and we had different standards and protocols. Today, you do that on top of owning like some kind of quasi stock certificate in that thing that you're arguing about. It's a weird place to be. So I'm just going to let that, I think somebody was saying that what's the elephant in the room? We've got some combatants now who have competing tokens. I don't care. I think that's for them to work out. And actually, I'm kind of excited that there are different competing things that are going to be competing. They're going to throw some mud at each other. I don't care. It's still a standards body. And we've got lots of things to work on. And in fact, I bet that there's going to be a lot more intensity about it because these aren't the first combatants that are going to be here. They're just the first two, or they're not going to be the last. And as we go, we're going to keep it clean. We're going to keep it real, as Sono said in the chat. And we're going to be professional at in spite of the fact that people are afraid when their pocketbooks are involved, they get afraid and they say things that are not cool. Because fear causes that. And we'll remember that later in a lucid moment. So when you've said something that's not cool, or when you've had somebody say something that's not cool to you, remember that we're all just horrible humans, and that when we get afraid, we tend to throw stuff at each other. But there's nothing to throw at here. This is a standards body. And that's why we're not talking about the specifics of it. And honestly, it's a little too early. There was a new announcement by one of the companies that has done a hell of a lot of work, and it made some claims about another company that has done a hell of a lot of work, and all of that's kind of falling out. I don't really have a lot to say about it yet because I don't understand it. I read one of the papers, and I don't understand it yet, so I don't have a lot to say. So that's why we're not talking about it. So anybody on the YouTube chat that's saying, why aren't they talking about the elephant in the room? Well, that's why, because the elephant hasn't really, it's still a little bit, hidden behind the back of the stage. I'm not sure what that elephant looks like yet. So I hope that's a good enough explanation. Let's see. Hey, Samrat, what's going on with you? Samrat. You might have a bad connection there in India. Well, anyway, Samrat's got the show on Saturday, I think, still. Sono, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the thing I'm saddest about today is that I was really hoping that the new sponsor, that we'd had the press release out on the new sponsor. It's not out yet, so I can't say it. It drives me crazy. But it is here. It's done. It's confirmed. We just have to get it, get the press release out before we talk about it.
Is Oasis providing the press release or us?
EA and Oasis.
EA and Oasis. Okay.
Yeah. What else is up? So, that said, I do know that I think both Unibyte, Provide, Consensus, and EY are all putting new stuff out in the new year. Does anybody want to talk about their stuff? Stefan, Martin.
Yeah,
I just want to start with what's up with the Base Ledger project.
Yeah, so for Base Ledger, mainly it is what we also presented at last week's General Assembly. So the the biggest step forward in our understanding is the installment of the base ledger governance body. And it also refers to what you earlier mentioned in terms of pair programming or alignment, or even the blips. I just thought about that there are very, very many parallels between these concepts. So, for example, with base ledger, it came out of a development driven by companies that are like Unibright that are involved in the baseline protocol. But of course, if you are talking about a blockchain on enterprise level, then you also have to act professionally on an enterprise level. And this includes that decisions that have impact on all users on the complete ecosystem are also handled and communicated professionally. So that's why, for example, we were so heavily engaged in the last months to install that council and to have it legally compliant with regulators and have everything safe, because it would help the complete ecosystem, no matter if you are a client or a developer or another company building integration tools like Concircle did with the ConUBC. And I think the parallel that I'm mentioning is really interesting because you mentioned pair programming earlier, and that you like these mob sessions so much in the blips. And I also think that it really drives quality if people work together, even if they're openly working together, so everybody can see that they are pair programming. Even if it seems to be slower in the beginning, it really has an impact on the quality of the overall project. And I can share a small fun story from Martin's and my history. So in the beginning, when we started as freelancers in 2004, we always did pair programming on our own because we
Did you
wanted
read
to
Kent
check
Beck?
each other
You guys
code
read Kent Beck, right?
and learn. Yeah,
Extreme
exactly.
programming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this was more driven coming from the university, and it was our style. So, and when we got a little bit more successful and the projects got bigger, we also did that at the clients, at the company's work. So we sat together in front of one computer when we did the architecture things and really did it together. And we really had some discussions with clients. Why would they pay both of us if only one is typing in the keyboard and the other one is just assisting them? Yeah. And we really had some, let's say we had to find some arguments for them. Hey, look, give us a little bit of time, take like 2 or 3 weeks. Let us do the architecture together in a team, even if only one person at a time is writing or coding. It will affect the general understanding of how the project should work. And all clients, I can say that for Martin and me, there was not one single client who was like after some weeks still thinking that this was wasted time. They all try to insist on that the team does this over and over again in some pair sessions. And for me, the blips in baseline are comparable. They are also inviting a community to work on simple examples like blip 6 or on discussions where do we need zero knowledge proof or CCSM like blip 1 or the great battleship example. All those are pair programming efforts. And for base ledger and the council thing, I think it's also a thing of a community and a team that aligns on common wording, on common decisions to empower the ecosystem. So that's the bigger end of the year speech in terms of teamwork.
I mean, that's a great story about this team programming, and it always was great until the moment I just plugged in a second keyboard and I started hacking parallel to Stefan, which of course was not the intention, but sometimes I
deleting my lines of code. Be honest.
Yeah, whatever. No, these are great sum up of what we are up. And apart from that, of course, we're waiting for Santa Claus to bring some great presents, which we will obviously present to everyone in the next show. So I guess there's something in for base ledger and the ecosystem as well. Hopefully, if we all behave, then we might get some presents.
Well, like I think the net of that is that you guys have set up that you're now into your phase of having really accelerating your decentralization and getting a bunch of other companies in. I know that, you know, I can
Yep.
confirm that Consensus Mesh is going to run a node and do all that stuff. And we're excited about that. We do that. You know, we've done a lot of those sorts of things. So, you know, we've been looking at that for a long time. And so that's, you know, I think that's just factually true. And when do you think you're going to have the first sort of commercial companies running, managing proofs on it directly?
We
In
expect
production.
it to happen in Q1 if everything works as planned. Then we hopefully see client onboarding in Q1, but latest I would see them in Q2. Apart from that, I wanted to add about the whole decentralization discussion that I had to talk to one of our lawyers this morning, and everything about decentralization is becoming vitally important to the enterprise customers as well. So we are, or she's planning on a legal paper about decentralization and how to judge projects, whether they are decentralized or what does it even mean? What are the metrics? How can we work on decentralization? I know that Coinbase, for example, and others, they are having metrics and are looking into projects. And so we want to have this paper perhaps set up together next year, which just is a addition to more the legal side of things. But we're seeing that this discussion is going on, within the enterprises as well. And that's why we made very sure that we have a decentralized setup in a legal way as well. So it's more to being decentralized as only seeing it from a technical perspective.
Right on. Yeah, I think that's good. And, you know, I've always, I come very slowly to trust in any of those kinds of things, right? You know, the chains are, I remember I was talking to the head of Chainlink about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I was just like, I don't get it. Yeah, and he just very calmly explained things to me. And I told him later, I said, it took me 6 or 8 months to trust you at all, just because I didn't know what kind of skin you had in the game, like what dog you had in the hunt, as it were. What were your motivations? So that's just one odd thing about all these projects out there is how much more time those of us who want to make sure we're law-abiding, you know, careful folks take to become trustful of the work. But you guys have always been straight shooters with us. Okay, so that's good to hear. Hey, Jack, I know you got an announcement about something that you said. I think I read that you're going to have something up on the 1st of January. Do you want to lay that out?
John, just to confirm, Jack Leahy, right?
Yeah, Jack Leahy. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, obviously we have released a proposal of a white paper yesterday. We asked the greater community to just take some time to actually digest that and really understand some of the key points and reasoning for the proposal itself and some of the fundamental reasons of which we're looking to pursue this strategy overall. We've continued to go ahead.
But right on, and so you're clarifying it's a proposal, white paper proposal, not an actual white paper. I didn't know that. That's good. What is the? I could have sworn I read something about something that you're going to be having that you're going to put up on the 1st of January. What was that?
So
just so folks know,
from a January 1st perspective, actually with the expectation of the launch of the actual network.
So you're putting up a new chain on the 1st of January?
That's the intention as of currently.
Oh, cool.
We're continuously working through some of the overall architecture and kind of putting some final states into building out the governance structure for that. Thus far, though, we've had really a warm understanding and welcoming from many of the organizations that we're working with relative to kind of the open structure, openly governed network that we're proposing here. And we continue to press on with the organizations that we've been building with throughout the course of this year. We're getting very close to going live with Kona, as well as moving a number of other organizations into production, moving into Q1, many of which have been articulated in the past. And We're kind of working to finalize the project scope for a number of MVPs that we're expecting to take flight in Q1. And so, yeah, we're very much excited with the progression that we've had through the end of the year. The team has been heads down, building very hard to make sure that we launch Shuttle as a beta version for the month of December and hold our commitment to doing that. We feel very confident that that will be prepared. Just saw a demo executed internally with the team that showed a lot of confidence internally.
I actually did. I got to tell you, last week, I liked, I finally saw like, yeah, that little shuttle demo, and I was like, okay, I can see how I would use, you know, the, not so much for a developer, but like for a, you know, business line person who wants to, yeah, who wants to kind of string some, reminded me of Lotus Notes back in the day. It was like, hey, okay, I can kind of visually put some stuff together. That's cool.
Yeah, that's been the
that was the first time I really kind of saw something that I understood, you know, clearly. That was great.
There's a tremendous amount of work that has gone into the configuration of the circuits to be able to drag and drop them and be able to keep the entanglement in line, but still be able to do certain type of configurations throughout the course of a work process or work steps themselves. And so there's been some final pieces that we've been buttoning up from that perspective. But yeah, we very much like the progression that we've been making thus far, and have a lot of confidence going into the new year.
Cool. So where can people watch for that January 1 release? Is there a URL that they can go to?
Yeah, at current state, it'll be provide.network, which has been alive for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So just go to provide.network
and since 2017, this has been, you know, somewhat of a vision for some time.
So I'll be able to conduct transactions on a chain on the 1st of January.
That's the intention that we're working towards. Yes. Yep.
Right on. I've got a couple of announcements.
And John, there was a recent system that we just recently synchronized, a new one that we're very much looking forward to bringing forth to the community. Been just another piece of work that we have had in flight through the last 6 months. I'm very much looking forward to showing a new system that has yet to be baseline and synchronized that we're going to be putting forward to the community. So,
well, it's great to see work from many different companies. Glad to see the two of you guys on. I'd like to say, Sono, I loved the fact that we had such a great representation from the GNARC and Consensus CSI team on the core devs call this week, and I expect that's going to continue. I really think that now that we've clarified the idea of zero knowledge coordination, commercial products like and offerings like that are hopping in and can see a path forward to making some money. So I think that's really good to see happening. Speaking of making money, we will be releasing my project, Tree Trunk NFT, which uses the baseline protocol approach for zero knowledge NFTs, treetrunk.io. And we are going to be either announcing, we'll either be delivering the whole thing or a good chunk of it at ETH Denver. So if you're going to ETH Denver, I don't have the actual stage time locked in, but we are going to go. We're going to be announcing Tree Trunk at that time. And Enbridge, which is the other consensus spin out that is based on baselining and under DeFi, is also steaming along to an exciting new year with operating under commercial. So they're actually already running funds and doing all sorts of cool stuff. So those are our projects. And I think EY mentioned some stuff last week. I don't see Kishore, or I don't see Karthik on. So we can't get that direct, but there's lots of good stuff happening there as well. Sonal, did I miss anything?
Nope. I think the core dev involvement was what I wanted to mention as well. We have people from various companies joining each session and getting involved or trying to figure out how their companies can integrate and add value to Baseline. So that's been super exciting. I'm very excited to have the representation from different companies in our core devs as well as TSC, and have the groups work together in early 2022 to outline our next roadmap.
Right on. I got nothing else. Shall we? I wanted to have a big scroller of all the people to thank, and I wanted to play jingle bells, and I just wanted to have a festive show today. But then I got COVID, and then my wife got COVID, and I've been taking care of the kids while she's been in isolation. I didn't get it done. I'm sorry about that. But we can all sing. No, maybe not.
Ever tried a band rehearsal via Zoom and try to catch up the latencies of the drummer? Good luck.
Yeah. Hey, what was that a few years ago? Hey, Samrat, there you are, buddy. Nice to see you. Oh, then you disappeared again.
I'm on phone today, so I didn't turn on my camera.
Are you? What's the season like over there in India? I mean, end of year? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's getting cold. So India is like a mini continent, right? So you can never ask what's the season in India because, while I'm wearing 2 layers, there may be people sweating out there in the southern part of India. So, but in Delhi, it's getting cold where I am. So yeah, it's the interesting time, interesting festival time.
What's your favorite festival this time of year?
Oh, so I think I mean we had tons of fun, which just went out, with Diwali, etc. So I'm a North Indian, so North part of India is largely Diwali and some small festivals around it. But then, so it's like if you were to take a marshmallow test, people in the West sort of waited out until the end of the year. We Indians sort of they just have fun in November when Diwali is mostly depending on the moon, etc. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that time, and this time I think of course a lot of activity has calmed down. A couple of my projects have also calmed down. One of my consulting position has been furloughed, so yeah, I will have a lot of disposable time. So let's see what I do this time. I'm
I
thinking of
can fill
baking
that
muffins.
disposable time up for you. That's easy.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, let's get some new business. Yeah,
Samrat, how was your talk at the EEA yesterday?
Oh, this was very interesting. So yeah, Andreas was also there, and thank you for the support, Andreas. So yeah, the EEA introduction went very well. Actually, you could turn on my camera just to talk about that one before we wrapped up. So the event went very well. Of course, the turnout was not that great, but I've seen the EA videos are viewed a lot. And plus, in principle, we can't compare to YouTubers, right, in terms of views, etc., and people attending our shows. But yeah, I think there were some good questions asked. Baseline introduction went well, so it was well received.
Awesome. And will you be hosting the Baseline show in India the next coming weeks, or will you be putting a
Yes,
pause on
so
that?
I will be hosting it this Saturday, so last show of the season, as John said. So this one happens to be for the West, and the coming Saturday is going to be the last one for India. Because then people start traveling, and then it is absolutely impossible to get somebody for a speaker, or even to get them to listen to us. So there's no point, So and then we'll resume again in the first week of Jan.
Okay. Do you have anybody lined up for this weekend?
Yeah. There are actually 2 people lined up. I will, so depending on their availability, I'll finalize tomorrow. One is a MD with Accenture. And he has about 5 patents, 3 of which are blockchain patents. He's currently the lead of Control Tower Advisory, doing big shit. And the other one is, I try to align him actually since a long time. He's the head of data analytics for Apollo Tires, which is a big listed entity. It's probably the biggest tire manufacturing company there. So he's currently in Amsterdam, working on a big transition project, and he was not finding time. Plus, then we were also doing some updates. So I said, I'll probably call you when we have big updates to discuss. So yeah, so amongst these two speakers, we'll have one of them.
Awesome. Thank you. Everybody should tune into that show. Samrat always has a great variety of speakers on, and it'll help us end the year on a big note. So we'll all try to join you as well.
Yeah, see how competition
you.
works, right? I'm feeling the pressure to lift our game here on the Wednesday show, because you're starting to pass me, man.
No,
Can't have that happen.
But you have the cool background, John.
Yeah, I guess. I really do like your format, by the way. It's great.
Well,
I like it's more intimate, and you get into deep subjects, and you're really pushing the boundaries of who's involved. I think this coming year, I'll just start. I think we can end on this. This coming year, if things go right, and I should like to see a lot of cyber companies involved in baseline. I had a meeting with the heads of a standards body on zero knowledge proofs. It's an entirely different standards body on zero knowledge proofs. They're like, "Hey, how do you like Oasis?" I said, "I love Oasis. You should come in, be a sister project." So I think the story is cyber, right? The story is, hey, we got to coordinate, and we don't like the kind of leakiness that is involved in coordinating across company lines. It's a cyber story. So cyber companies, folks like, got to call Eric Breivik, and who was one of the founding team members on Baseline, and is now on Enbridge and has done amazing things. I've been thinking about him a lot because he's, a big person in cyber. I think that's a big place where, and those companies haven't been as involved. We've had more of the blockchain, it definitely started in the Ethereum world. And now I think, as a partisan, I'm always going to think that the best place to anchor my proofs are going to be ultimately on the Ethereum mainnet. But the standard does not require that. It's just my point of view personally as a combatant myself. And I always try to make sure people understand that, right? Just because I love my baby doesn't mean I think your baby's ugly. Even if it might be, babies are ugly. Let's just be honest. Babies are super ugly. They come out, they're all squishy. It's weird.
To that point, John, many of the organizations that we're still working, or that we are working with, have shared that sentiment as far as the exit and moving to Ethereum and settling there. That continues to be the resounding desire as far as from the organizations that we have been working with. We continue to see a desire to work to build in the direction with exiting on Ethereum.
Well, good on you. But I gotta say, what I'm trying to signal here is, while I might make fun of you for not doing things the way I want you to do it, the standard isn't me, and it's not anybody else in the room. It's a standard. It's written down. It's pretty dry. It's pretty boring. And as long as one adheres to the standard or needs to change the standard, then that gets done. But the standard doesn't say how you manage your proofs specifically, as long as it meets the standard of care and security. Read the standard. So, and I think that if many other state machines and other ways of doing it, I love the fact that we just got Kafka on a project, right? Instead of Nats only. Not that I like Nats. In fact, generally people thought that Nats was easier to work with. But a lot of people use Kafka. So isn't it great that we have a Kafka project now? The Kafka that we've actually implemented Kafka. Doesn't it seem to you guys that a good place to actually implement, like, why not have a Kafka or Nats be the way I deliver this stuff? Right? You install Kafka, you are mostly baselined, or you can start baselining because Kafka's got those features in it. It'd be a perfectly good insertion point. Messaging protocols, security systems, and of course, platforms like SAP and Dynamics and NetSuite. All right. Those are all places where you can just include the parts that you need. The most obvious part is just being able to sign EDDSA. Right? If you're receiving a message, you got to be able to generate an EDDSA curve signature. That's part of the standard. It's not controversial. It's just something somebody's got to implement. So I think that's where I think 2022 goes, is just real practical implementations like what we saw with the RI6 team, the two different Excel spreadsheet projects, which I love because they really took very different approaches, right? One was trying to manage state changes to a single document, and the other was multiple work steps. And I thought that was really a great way of showing the different ways of approaching the problem. And then of course the battleship project. So the more we have those things, and the more we say, okay, CEO. So Samrat, as you're talking to folks there in your part of the world and elsewhere, I think that's the story. Jack, I think you could build a whole business on this, right? And say, hey, cyber cooperation, collaboration. Don't give everybody your data. Here's how you do it. And I think that's the story for 2022. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that's going to be a story that sells in 2022.
It is a story that sells, mainly because, and I've been discussing this with a lot of, friends that I have within cybersecurity, and they all find, what they find most attractive is, speaks to one of the central tenets of cybersecurity, is that data at rest is a lot more secure than data in motion. And with baseline, your data stays largely at rest. And so it is less likely you're going to have the leakage or breadcrumbs or anything like that. So we are getting a lot of attention right now, just, because it speaks to that basic tenet, which, is simple, to explain as a concept, but isn't quite as easy to implement within a process environment, because you do need that sharing of data. But we need to basically make sure that the data stays, in its own respective playground, and we can basically, sync it, from an additional, kind of extension, environment. So
yes,
expect to have a lot more attention from the cybersecurity people when they have time, because right now,
that's right.
It is so overwhelmed right now between Stross Friedberg and CrowdStrike, who seem to be the two main players within cybersecurity, specifically the forensic and the cleanup post breach. These guys, they are both begging for new entrants into the cybersecurity space, especially with forensics, because just given the proliferation of security breaches out there, it's gotten a lot of people, justifiably nervous. A lot of CISOs are staying awake at night. But there just is not the talent out there enough to, really address the persistent problem. And so if you have another method that actually reduces the exposure to that problem, all the better. So, and baseline is getting a lot of attention along those lines.
So
yeah,
I think
actually,
that's
I
right.
spoke about, yeah. So just to add, I actually took the same storyline to the EA event yesterday. And I also spoke about the risk profile of a lot of vendors changing. So when people do third-party risk management, how do they classify threats coming out from their vendors? Even that is going to change big time.
Well, I think we can all agree that data might be at rest, but also co-chairs need to be at rest, and community members need to be at rest. So this is our restful time. I hope everybody has a great, relaxing holiday season going into the new year. When we come out in the new year, there's gonna be, I think, a lot of sound and fury and a lot of really good stuff going on. There's gonna be some fights. There's gonna be some dust ups. There's gonna be some angry people at each other, and I'm just gonna be back going, ha ha ha! It's working. It matters to people. And so I think that's going to be exciting. And I think that the 2022 is going to be about DIDs, verified credentials, baseline proofs, and customers. I love me some Kona, but I want 12 more of those by the end of January. So get on it, everybody. And go make everybody go make yourself some money. Doing it the old fashioned way, people paying money for services and products. That's how we did it back in the old days. That's still a good way of making money. So enjoy your tokens, but make sure that they're all based on people getting real value. And let's go get some customers paying money for real things that they need. And with that, I wish I had a Christmas song teed up, but I don't. So Samrat, I think you should sing us out.
Actually, John. Bad choice of the singer. Really, I mean, I have a bad throat today.
Right.
But yeah, there is some festival music on Restream. I saw that. So they have introduced they've introduced something. So at least the people on YouTube will hear the festive songs.
Shall we do Silent Night German style, Stefan? Heilige Nacht.
I don't know if you, I don't
But
know.
you know,
if
before
should.
we wrap up, I
Stille
just want
Nacht, Heilige
to
Nacht.
Heilige Nacht, right?
I just want to give a
Alles,
sorry. Go
alles.
ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, we got to. This is gold. Who's doing the German version of Silent Night?
That's a little bit
Alles-
unfair. I'm the only German left on this call, I guess.
Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht.
Alles schläft, einsam wacht.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
My
gonna
personal
cry
my
right
personal
now. That's
goal,
beautiful.
John, my personal goal is that one time in the future I will be on a stage explaining baseline and base ledger and have the same reaction from the crowd like when standing on a festival stage with 20,000 people singing Man kann doch schon so lang. So if we get to
Awesome.
that point, then we made something right.
It's lovely. I can't tell you
You
how
better go
much
to
I
CES
enjoy
with
working
that.
with you all. And Samrat, I'm sure you agree. We got a great crew out there. And thanks to Sono, we have a bigger and bigger crew every day. Sono, we're gonna have to start managing your fan base.
Wish.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure Sonal has a fan page already. If not, then you should create it using the holiday time. But yeah, I wanted to before we
Truly,
wrap
you
up, I
truly
wanted
know
to
how
give
to
a moment of
organize people
gratitude.
and get them to do their best. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten just spontaneous comments from people going, "Oh my God, you know, the leadership quality has gone up 100% since you joined," and we're all very, very grateful.
Thank you.
I think that's a great place to stop, everybody. So I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Samrat? You want to have the last word as
No, I was just saying moment of gratitude for Unibright for sending across the Unibright watch.
Oh, yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I flaunted it off in the EA event yesterday, so I'm going to send you a screenshot, Stefan and Jack. So
now
so,
you know
once again,
what time it is.
What time is it?
It's time to baseline.
Yeah, it's time to baseline. Yes,
It's time to baseline.
truly.
And on that
So
note,
yeah, but thank you so much, and it's an amazing project.
all right, everybody, have a great holiday, and we'll see you in the new year. Samrat, I'm glad you have the last show this year. I'll be tuning in. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
you.
Hi,
Cheers,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.